All right. So yeah, I mean, the way in which I look at the real estate business is from three main verticals in a real estate agent's business. One is client acquisition. This is what, Ben, most people are used to talking about. This is what everybody talks about. This is mostly what I talk about on the channel, right? How to go out there, generate clients, get leads, convert those clients or those leads into clients. That has to do with client acquisition. Then the second vertical or the second bucket is client fulfillment, which is what I want to talk about. And then the third bucket is client retention. So I want the audience to picture this for a second. Because rarely do I hear people focused on the client experience. And when I frame it maybe this way, or when I heard it framed this way, everything changed for me. Imagine for a second, you had one client and you weren't able to market, you weren't able to prospect for new ones. Okay. So you only had one client. And this plays because, to be fair, most agents don't market and most agents don't prospect, right? They get Aunt Betty, they get one transaction, they get one opportunity. Well, I want to talk about how do we turn that one opportunity, that one transaction into a successful career? Because this is the thing. When you have a client, somebody already using your service, if you were just to focus on giving that person a raving fan client experience and let that person go out into the world and be your biggest advocate, what would happen is your business would explode. Because here's what I know is that most real estate agents get a client and it's an absolute nightmare, both for them and the client. And both of them can't wait until this nightmare of a transaction's over. It's like pulling teeth to get to a closing table. Both of you don't even want to see each other. It's all weird. It's just like, you got so many confrontations and bickering back and forth. And it's like, oh, I can't wait till this thing is done. Well, if that was the complete opposite, where the client, Ben, walks into the closing table and says, Ben, I got to tell you, I mean, we've done a lot of business with a lot of different people. We've been around this world for a long time. No one, and I mean no one, has treated us the way that you have treated us. No one has communicated the way that you've communicated. No one has given us a better experience than what you just did over the last 94 days. And for that, we want to thank you. That's the goal. And if we can create a system, a process that you put a client through every time, no exceptions, no excuses. It's not like, oh, you got to think, should I call this guy? Should I update them? No, it's an amazing client experience. Your business will grow forever and ever and ever and ever. Because here's the other thing. There's stats around it, and I don't have it on me right now, but most of real estate agents, most of their business comes by the way of referral, not because they have a strategy, but that's just how they sell their 2 or 3 houses a year.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, my first thought of experience, right? Somebody that has crushed this in a different industry, but the only thing they focused on, Chick-fil-A, the experience.
That's right.
How we're talking to you, how you're addressed, how you flow through the store, like all of those things. You think of the Ritz-Carlton, right? Like those type of experiences, they just right now, it's like, I read a survey that said the top 3 most stressful things that happen in your life are a death, divorce, and selling real estate.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right. And the thing is, you're naming some companies that have really gotten this right. Probably the most famous is Tesla. Just until the last shareholder meeting 2 weeks ago, Tesla has not put $1 into marketing or advertising. Never. You've never seen a Tesla commercial. You've never seen any of that. They've done no marketing. Their clients, their customers are their marketing. And Tesla does amazing things, not to get too tactical, but they have what they call their Tesla advocate in every marketplace. This is the person who refers the most people that buy a Tesla in a market. They give that person a free Tesla.
Wow.
Do you know that? Yeah.
I've got a buddy that got a free charger because of his, amount of referrals and stuff, but I didn't know the Tesla. That's incredible.
Yeah. And you think about Tesla, right? It's like one of the most successful car companies on the planet, right?
No
And
doubt.
they do no advertising, no
Yeah.
marketing. They let their experience from when somebody goes in and they test drive a Tesla. It's a whole thing. I mean, when that experience is unbelievable. Not
Well, and
only
they
is the
changed it.
vehicle,
They didn't look at like, oh, okay, this is the way it's always been done,
that's
right?
right.
They started without showrooms, right? If you want to test drive it, you hit the button and the guy comes to your house with a Tesla and you hop in.
That's
Because,
right.
just like Lamborghini said, they were like, why don't you guys do commercials? Because the people that are buying our products aren't watching TV. That's
Love
why.
it.
Right? So it's like you think about Tesla owners, right? They're out and about. They're at lunch. They're at the bar. They're talking about it on the golf course. Like that's their clientele. Those types of people, it's all about convenience,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you've bought cars, I've bought cars.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
painful. Even
It's
when
the
you write a
worst
check, it's
experience
painful.
ever. It's the worst. Nobody wants to go into a car dealer, sit there for half their day, bicker
Yep.
back and forth with this salesperson who just doesn't know her head from a hole in the ground. Well, let me go check with my manager, and they play these
Yeah.
stupid games for 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. And so
Tesla,
what
you go on the website, you put in your account info, and it's done. Right? You
That's
just
right.
bought the car. It's incredible.
It's incredible. And so there's a great book, I think by Ken Blanchard, the Raving Fans. And it's a great book. And it will give real estate agents a lot of ideas around how to create an experience that is just world class that the clients never, ever had in their life. And if an agent does this, Ben, it's my belief, and I'm living proof of it, they'll never have an issue with money again. They'll never have a client problem again. Their business will always thrive because they have all these advocates that every time they do a transaction, their business compounds. But what most agents do is they run almost like a conveyor belt. It's like, go out there, spend all my energy on client acquisition, shove them through this nightmare of a process, and then on to the next deal, on to the next, turn and burn. And then they wake up 17 years from now, still having to go door knock, still having to go and cold call a for sale by owner. It's like, well, you screwed something up somewhere, because if you can really focus on that client experience, like I said, things get incredibly well. And so the framework that I like is, again, if you only had one client and you weren't able to prospect and you weren't able to market, you couldn't advertise, my question for myself that I would challenge the audience with is, would your business grow or would it die? In other words, it was the answer to that question would come down to the experience you gave that client. And when you think about it in that terms, like, this is your last chance. You've got an opportunity to change this person's life in a way that they refer everybody to you. They can't stop talking about you to everybody everywhere they go. Or you can create a world where they never want to see your face again.
Yeah.
And if you just focus on that, it will be the best lead generation thing you ever do.
No doubt. And that's why you've got these companies like Tesla, because it's so different. You can't help but talk about it. So, like we've talked about, how do we become a swan in a pond of rubber duckies, right? In this real estate industry? How do we become the Tesla, right? In real estate. And I think big corporations have tried to do it. And it's just keeping in mind, like, you don't have to be this mega company to do this, right? It just starts with one person, and it'll just compound. And the book you referred to, they talk about having 1,000 raving fans, right? In real estate, I mean, you talk about it a lot. Your top 100. I think if you can have 100 raving fans, I mean, you will be crushing it in this industry. Am I right?
100% right. Because our top 100 has been our flagship kind of focus for clients that we do our deepest work with. Because it's like, if you have 100 people and then you put them into our raving fan club, which is what happens afterwards, the goal is to get one introduction from all 100 people. And for most agents, those have high conversion ratios, and everybody knows it. Everybody loves working with referrals. You get paid the highest amount. People love to work that pillar of business. Well, imagine getting 100 a year.
Mm.
I mean, for most agents, if they close 75, 80% of those, they're probably making 7 figures, but
No
they're
doubt.
not focused on that. They're focused on the next lead thing, the next shiny object, the next
Mhm.
marketing, gadget gimmick out there on how I can get new leads, new leads, new leads. When it's like your best source of new leads is the buyer you're working with right now.
Yeah.
Go love on them. It's the seller you have right now. And one of the things, just from a tactical standpoint, just to get people's mind around what we're talking about. One of the greatest things that I love to do is, before I list a property, is I will take that seller and I will go and show them in person all of the properties that we will compete with. And
Mm.
I'll show them all the properties because I want them to feel it. I want them to feel what the buyers will feel. And
Mm.
oftentimes people are like, wow, this is a great idea. This is great, Brandon. I really like that you did this. We didn't even think about doing this. And it gives that
Mm.
seller a whole new perspective. And then, oh, by the way, when we get done with that, there's a catered dinner waiting for them at their house and their family. So I don't have to worry about that because they met with me. I took their dinner plans away from them to meet with me. And now they get dinner on me as my first impression. So we do the tour and then we get a nice catered dinner, just as an example. For our buyer
Mm.
clients, when we close, we throw them a housewarming party for all of their
Cool.
closest friends and family members. And we get it catered. We've got a cook at their house, and we do some games and we do some raffles. And the people are like, "That's your realtor? Yeah, that's Brandon.
Mm.
That's my guy. That's my guy."
Mm.
And people
Mm.
just aren't used to getting treated that way, because most agents are like, "Let me get this thing closed, let me get paid, and let me just move on to the next one."
No doubt. I think too, just to even just take it a step back, like those things are incredible. I think, okay, what's that going to cost me? I'm a new agent, dot, 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 dot. The biggest complaint in real estate, right? Let's talk a little bit about just communication.
That's
That
right.
is the biggest complaint. So how can we really deliver customer service, create raving fans simply through communication?
Yeah, and it's funny because this is the next masterclass I'm working on inside of our mastermind for all of those members. It comes out in July. Um,
Cool.
it's exactly what I'm working on, because you're right. I mean, Steve, Steve, our mortgage
Hmm.
partner, we talk about all the time. We're all consumers of products and services in everyday life, and we're like, man, we could just kill it in any business that we're in because of just communication.
Yeah.
Car salesmen suck. I had to buy a trailer for my dirt bikes. It was a nightmare. It was just an absolute nightmare. And he and I say it all the time. Like, all you have to do is call people back, do what you say, and you are so much further ahead of your competitors, because
Yeah.
nobody answers their phones, nobody calls everybody back, and nobody does what they say they're going to do. That's the
Yeah.
norm of client service. And so if you just
Mm.
did that, to your point, from a communication standpoint, where you told your client, here's what you can expect to hear from me, and
Mm.
then you actually do it, just that alone, that one simple tactic alone, will make the client feel at ease, lower their anxiety. It's like turning the lights on in that haunted house that I often talk about, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
communication is massive.
And then just setting expectations, right?
That's right.
I think that's a huge one that's missed, where we often think that the client, the customer, like they just people often just tell them what they think they want to hear, but in reality they don't follow through on that. So it's like, let's just set expectations. Hey, I'm just going to be honest with you, I'm not the cheapest guy, right?
Yeah.
I'm not XYZ, but here's what I actually am really good at, right? And Alex Hermosi talks about that. Like, if you lay out, hey, here are some things that I'm really good at, here's some things that I'm not good at, I'm not the jack of all trades. You can go to a big mega team and they're going to be super dialed in on this, that, and the other. But I'm just going to be honest with you. They might not treat you like family. Like, I am going to treat you like you're my mom. That's how I'm going to handle this. But I'm the one answering all the emails, right? So, give me a little grace, give me 24 hours to get back to you. I just want to set that expectation. But, hey, let's check in every Thursday at noon. Let's do a check-in, right? Just so we've
Love it.
got that on the calendar.
What a great point. And there's a philosophy out there that suggests that when you set expectations or boundaries with another
Mm.
human being, the respect the other person has for you increases dramatically. And when you don't, the exact opposite happens. And how true is that in our business of real estate? These
Walked
agents,
all over.
they get walked all over, and then they want to resent the client when it was them that failed to set expectations, when it was them to set boundaries that like, hey, I go to bed usually around 10 p.m. So if you call me after that, like I probably won't answer, just simple boundaries. Human beings need to know their boundaries. They need to know, they have to have clarity in order to behave a certain way. And it's up to us as the professional to set those boundaries, to set those expectations up front. And then the client experience gets so much better. And that equal business stature is just that. It's equal. We have mutual respect. And the client doesn't take advantage of you, and the client doesn't feel like you're taking advantage of them.
Love it.